Happy Monday. Welcome to Power Talk. I'm your host, Jean Adrienne, and I am thrilled to be on this side of the daisies and breathing today and enjoying life. And I've got a great show for you. My guest today is the magical Todd Medina. So welcome, Todd.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you. And Todd crossed my path because of a wonderful friend that I have who is a connector and a facilitator. I've known her for many years. Her name is Rosie Neal. And she put me in touch with Todd because Todd is doing some pretty, I think, leading edge internet and social media stuff about ascension. And so she said, you need to get on Todd's show and let him interview you. And so I did, and we had a great show. And I thought, wow, we need to get Todd and his work out to all of you guys who watch me on Power Talk. So, Todd, how long have you been kind of moving in this direction of helping the mass population find out what they need to find out about ascension?
Let's see. I woke up like summer of 2011, like we all had went through things, and I started Soulogy March the 10th, 2012. Okay. So I guess from that point on, and it started like that.
So tell our viewers what Soulogy is.
Soulogy is an energy. It's not a religion. It's not even spirituality. It's just an energy of all different frequencies continuously being added to it. It's in the 3D terms, a Soulogy group. It has an artistic arm to it called SoulogyOneStudios, which is a page on Facebook and YouTube. And then it has my page where we do our broadcast out of it, because our main broadcast, our main program is what we call Soul Speaks 5D, which is where I met you, where we have a conversation about ascension related topics.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting because your guests, as I haven't known about it for very long, but your guests, and you do this every day, right? And they're very varied in their backgrounds, in their message, but it's all good.
Yeah, there's a huge, diverse group. We really started it in earnest last summer, and we were taking people that you might see in the light worker circles off different groups, just people you would run into. I just started saying, hey, you want to have a conversation? And then it kind of grew from there. It went, and more people came on, and more people came on, and we just expanded the subjects, and we had some pretty raw stuff. It's always been really raw. There's times in the early days it got heated, and but people were always speaking their truth because it was important. It was important for them to speak their truth. So many people have so many powerful downloads, channelings, transmissions. That in itself is a very powerful thing, a very challenging thing for the human soul hybrid just to experience, much less really understand, because the brain takes so long to catch up. Yeah. So I felt like I've always been led to, you can't divorce yourself from any aspect of the universe. So what you do is you just continue to add frequencies to an ever-expanding vibration. That's kind of the mantra for Soulogy and SoulogyOneStudios, or program, or is just to add more and more frequencies to an ever-expanding vibration, meaning put things together that the human being may think doesn't work, won't taste good.
I mean, that's what's happening really to us all, whether we like it or not, I think, is that, especially with all the solar flares and all the light that's coming onto the planet now, is that we're being expanded. Our physical vessels are being expanded, I think, to hold more light. And so then what you're doing is giving people the opportunity to go to the cafeteria and eat from, a lot more variety of nutrition, nourishment. I mean, and I'm not talking physical nutrition. I'm talking spiritual nutrition.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And really, whether it be, because Soulogy really consists of a huge range of expressions and programs and, everything from just people writing stuff down on a post to imagery. There's just so many different elements to it. But I think I've always believed that, it's a code activation. I mean, when we express, whether it be verbal, nonverbal, an idea, an artistic expression, a program idea that you initiate and implement, a program itself, everything it's all of it mixed together, and it is memory recognition for other souls.
Exactly. It's interesting. A word that I keep hearing used a lot. I first heard it when I started watching the YouTubes of Matt Kahn. And then last Friday, I did a Facebook Live with Rashmi Kilnani, who has been on your show before. And she mentioned it as well. And she said that every time she speaks, and Matt says this as well, every time I speak, I'm doing a living transmission.
Yes.
And what I figured out after talking to her and listening to him is that that's what we're all doing. I mean, nobody's cornered the market on that living transmission thing. Because when we speak, we think we're speaking English. Yeah. But what we're really speaking is light language.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's right. And it's not just the language you're starting to hear that comes out. I have a lot of friends that do that. Mm-hmm. You're right. It's the combination of everything. It's like whether it be light language that comes from our past galactic multidimensional aspects or memories, or it be a primitive culture remembrance from this earth, whatever it is, all those things are sitting there in that Akashic. And I think what he's describing and what others have described as like Unity Grace, Linda Good McGillis, we're now moved into a different place, and that's what we call the living library. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Every single thing we do, I was told, to give you another way for me to explain it, I was told 6-7 years ago when I was starting out that everything that we write, everything that we're doing, I didn't know at the time videos, but everything that we're doing, including instant messages, every single thing is going to be picked up in the future, in what we would call on a linear level in the future, like the new good book, the new history, the new sacred books. And more each day, I see the reality of that.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't have to be a paper book anymore. No. It's a living thing. And, I think that's why it started, I think, with the conversion of paper books to audio books, and virtual things. But we're living in this virtual reality that I don't think a lot of people have laid claim to yet, but it exists. And there's nothing wrong with paper books. I still love to pick up a hardbound book and read it. I love the way the paper smells. But we don't need to be killing off all the trees on the planet to make print things.
Well, I think that the transition to a light body, and there's so many different ways to look at this. As we transition to a light body, for instance, it's not going to allow us to eat certain things. It's not going to allow us to do certain things. Yeah. It's going to require this, more of this, and less of that. And I believe that one of those things is going to be the traditional way that we learn through books. I loved books my whole life. I stopped reading a few years ago because we can pick up information so much quicker. I used to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours a night scanning YouTube just by intuition and following the yellow brick road and watch 6 minutes of this and skim through that. And, it's like it's like speed reading, and it's just all going, our brains are picking that up even if we're not consciously aware of it. And so I think they are going to go away, but it's exciting because whatever we can do, and it's what we try to do at Soulogy, I've got a saying in this: if it's been done before, then I'm not interested. Let's try something different. So in like the musical side of it, we might take an African tribal beat with a heart binary background beat and a white girl rapping, and an Indian flute, and just mix it all together, and magic always occurs. We've got so much evidence of that, and the shows are the same way. They're always spontaneous, creative, intuitive, and imaginative, and that's our true nature and our true power.
Exactly. Yeah, you're doing a great job, and so you're going to have. I think is your goal to have material available for the seeker 24/7.
Yes. Yeah, the goal is that we have 4 channels to start with, and this would be, if you can picture the old radios, back as old as I am, back when they had one FM channel, right?
Yeah.
So we would come out with an app-based, accessible, what I call universal cast, 24/7, 365. And you click it, there's 4 channels on it, and 2 of those channels pretty much are running lives 24 hours a day of programming from around the world, people that are just speaking their truth with their own programs and this and that. And the other 2 channels would have replays and of the material that we've collected in our archives that are done in small bites. Like, so if we took one of your shows and it's an hour long, we would go in and cut out like 6 3-minute segments of the best stuff. Yeah. And then we would put 3 minutes of your show and followed by a 3-minute musical expression, by 3 minutes of someone else's show, and just let it run like almost like a constant stream. Because I believe that we're ready for that. So in this age, somebody can, because we're all doing this all the time, right? Somebody picks it up and looks at it, and they get what they need. They get it in the synchronicity. We've all done that. We go to Facebook, we go to the news feed, and we go, oh, boom, I needed that. Boom. And you just find it. That magnetism is in effect. And so it's happening. It's actually happening in a miraculous, incredible way. I mean, you're talking about an energy and an individual who's had no money, no material possessions. He's had an interface and a microphone and a laptop and it's just in a phone. And it's been an incredible journey, especially over the last 2 years. And over the last, I want to say the last 4 weeks, especially the last 2 weeks, there's just the magic, the unseen hand of providence, the magic, the Holy Spirit, the ether, whatever you want to call it, is materializing and manifesting right before my eyes every single day. I'm in tears 2-3 times a day.
Yeah, that's how I live my life, and I love it. As long as we stay open to the flow, then we're receiving everything. We require all of our needs, or our supposed needs, get met, and all we have to do is just keep it moving. Moving.
That's right.
Got to be a completed circuit. Gratitude key to that one.
It is. It's amazing because I left my home for the last time October 2016 with nothing except for what I described to you and a few clothes. And I had already been through a period of a couple of years where I by my own volition went homeless when my journey started. And that was a very intense, constant communion that I developed, and it was a very much solitude. It was a universal isolation. This was a little bit different because now I had started Soulogy and I knew people all over the place. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I went to the mountains of Arkansas for a couple of months and made some music and made some friends. And then I heard, you need to go to New York City. I'm like, I don't want to go to New York City. I don't want to go. I had like $250. I went to a little convenience store in Fort Smith, Arkansas, in the 2 feet of snow at 3:00 in the morning, bought a ticket for $237 and had $23 on me and a 36-hour bus trip and a couple of names in New York. And on that trip, I never asked for money from Soulogy and or contributions. And on that trip, I received over $1,200 in contributions from people that were following the story. By the time I got to New York.
That's amazing.
Yeah, things like that. Things like that. And we talk about it on the show. People are experiencing this type of stuff, and then you'll have a lull, and you get pulled back into 3D, and then you get the magic again, then you're pulled back into 3D. What I'm finding is over the last 3 or 4 weeks, Soulogy has just absolutely exploded. There's people sending contributions by the hour, and they're not, they're mostly small by the human terms, but that's where the power is. The power is in that 99.99%. It's the Jesus message, it's the Buddha message, it's the Lao Tzu message, it's the Magdalene message, and I think that's what's happening here. We're tipping this thing upside down as a collective, and Soulogy's just a mirror image, microsmic mirror image of what's happening collectively on this beautiful planet.
Well, and you just talked about my man there, and that's what Jesus said. He said, "Feed my flock."
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is you're feeding the flock with the stuff that's satisfying their hunger, and so it doesn't surprise me that you're in the flow of prosperity and abundance, because that's what he said. I came that you should have life and that you should have it abundantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the message right there.
Yeah, I think that essence, it's so hard to really quantify, describe. So many of us are familiar now with what we used to call communicating with the other side, or receiving downloads or transmissions or channeling, and it was a lonely world. That's the internet's helped us break out of that, and energies like Soulogy and groups like Soulogy have helped people come together and exchange those codes. But that essence seems to be very prominent. The Christ essence, you want to call it the Christ consciousness essence, the Jesus, Yeshua, and at the same time, in the Magdalene essence, the Mother Goddess essence, which for me seems to be coming through that Yeshua Jesus essence as well, is coming on strong. It's like a divine marriage has occurred on this earth in the ethers, at this huge, massive scale, a new man a new masculine and the feminine that was put down. And that's what I'm feeling. So when you bring up that name, especially over the last 2-3 days, it's been coming up a lot, and it was very prominent in the first part of my journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how can the viewers get onto your channel? How can they find you?
Okay, well, there's really the main thing, I think, is the after a lot of trial and error, you just use my Todd Medina Facebook page. Because of Facebook's algorithms, we tried it in the Soulogy group, and there's a lot of video archives in there. We tried it on the SoulogyOneStudios page, and we were pulling up to 500,000 reach a week. This was going back, I don't know, a year ago or so. I have light worker memory, so I can't remember, but it's about a year ago. And so finally I thought, well, I don't have the money to launch this thing. I don't have it yet. I'm still in transient all the time. That makes it difficult. I wasn't consistent with the broadcasting. So I thought I'm just going to do it off my page, because they can't hold me down. Every time we'd start to take off, you'd have certain restrictions in a group that even if it's public, they couldn't message. There was just too many problems. On the page, every time we started to get, any time of expansion, 300,000, 400,000 reach in a week, we'd get smashed down. So every time we would broadcast, we would have 6 people on, 17 people on, and it was just very, and I had to share it in groups and work the replays. But what happened was, I said, okay, our spirit told me, go to your page. And it just went like this, and then all of a sudden it wasn't like just 1, 2, 3. It just went boom like that. And then it went boom again. So you can find it daily. You can find our shows. Soul Speaks 5D. And I do a radio broadcast when I can. You can find them on my page, Todd Medina. You can go to photos. You can go to albums, to videos, and you will see in chronological order every single Soul Speak that we've done from that page. And we've done over 450.
Cool.
some of those are in the group, and some of those are in the archives of the SoulogyOneStudios page. But for the material that's really started to become significant and activating, I'd say go to the archives there. We've had some great shows recently. You were on. We've had a run thanks to Rosie Neal and Morgan Lee, my divine partner. We've had a run of some really pretty big names like yourself, Lisa Transcendence Brown, Sandra Walter, Magenta Pixie was on. I have a bad memory. Unity Grace has been on a couple of times. She's incredible. Shakina Rose has been on a couple of times recently. Keith Bay from Sedona. This people, and they're starting to find us. We used to have to go look for them, but now they're just, they're starting to find us. So we're looking forward to making the jump to our own website with that handheld app that will simulcast on Facebook and YouTube and anywhere else we embed it. And we're getting real close to that. Today is a big day. I won't get into what's happening, but there's a superabundance in the air, and I don't want to start crying. But today's a big day, and I believe we're going to make a major step today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, this is really good information. I hope everybody takes advantage of this. And, I think one of the things that Rachel has found on New Earth Television is that the sweet spot's really about a half an hour.
Yeah.
And because after that, people start, getting sidetracked or whatever. So that's why, we try to limit our shows here to half an hour. But, it's a lot of good information out there, and you're doing a really big piece of it. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So viewers, go to his page on Facebook and like his page, add him as a friend. I don't know how many friends you can have until they stop that. But you can always like it. And it's Todd Medina, TODDMEDINA.
Yeah.
And, get kind of hooked into this stuff, because I think you're going to find that there's some really good information. Everything's not for everybody, take what you want and leave the rest. And
yeah, it's like a smorgasbord.
Yes,
it's like a smorgasbord.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Todd, for taking time to come with us today. And we're going to take a hiatus. Rachel and I've got both of us have summer plans. So, she's kind of like giving the studio a break until the end of August. So you'll keep watching my website, my Facebook page, and we'll let you know when we're back. But, in the meantime, watch Todd on Todd Speaks.
Well, I'm glad we got squeezed in at the end. That's perfect.
Yes, exactly.
Just like the show, the way it started. Thank you so much.
Sure. And until next time, viewers, remember, people who take responsibility for their lives create the reality they desire. I love you all. I'll see you at the end of the summer. Ciao. Bye-bye.